Should trans student athletes be allowed to play on girls or boys or women's or men's sports teams? Well, today, the Biden administration just stepped way into that debate. This comes as several state legislatures across the country are working to pass laws that would outright ban trans student athletes from participating in school sports. Today, the Education Department proposed a new rule that says no school or college that receives federal funding will be allowed to impose a one-size-fits-all policy that categorically bans trans student athletes from playing on sports teams consistent with their gender identity. The Department of Education says the violation of this proposed rule would be a violation of Title IX, which for 50 years has protected equal athletic opportunities for students regardless of sex. This proposed rule would apply to public K-12 schools, colleges, universities, and other institutions that receive federal funding. Now, though the proposed rule says schools cannot have that one-size-fits-all policy, it still leaves room for schools to develop team eligibility rules that ensure fairness in competition or prevent sports-related injury, and those could ultimately result in restrictions around trans athletes and whether they can participate. But those limits could only be implemented after the school has considered the sport, the level of competition, and the age of students. For example, elementary school kids would generally be allowed to participate on any team consistent with their gender identity. More competitive teams at the high school and college level could add some form of limits, but those would be discouraged in teams that don't have tryouts or are a no-cut team. Now, this proposed rule has been in the works for more than 2 years, and there is still a very long process before it could become a reality. Once this proposed rule is published in the Federal Register, there will be a 30-day public comment period, and then, of course, there are going to be a lot of legal challenges to all of this. So if you want to read the proposed rule, I'll send it out tonight in my Newsgirl News Roundup email.